Texans got offensive issues, but they got a big game this week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's hear from CJ Stroud. Let's try to get to the bottom of these offensive issues, plus some big news when it comes to the injuries and what to watch for Thursday when the injury report comes out. Let's go inside the locker room.
Yeah, it's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do.
CJ Stroud speaks on allegedly calling out the Texans coaching staff, some big injury news, and a lot more as week 9 of the NFL season begins tomorrow in a big, big way. It is the locker room, number one source for Texans daily digital content. I'm Landry Locker. You can hear me Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 Central on Sports Radio 610, the Odyssey app. Got a special guest joining the show tomorrow, the radio show, straight off the practice field. So be listening for that. Be sure to subscribe right along. We got you covered when it comes to the Texans. Big news today at practice. Laramie Tunsil and Dameon Pierce do not practice. Now, is it going to be a veteran day for Laramie Tunsil? Is it one of those things where Laramie Tunsil is just getting rest? I don't know. We thought it was with Robert Woods last week. Laramie Tunsil is obviously dealing with a knee thing. I will say this, like it's not ideal to not have the highest paid offensive lineman in the NFL and one of the best pass blockers in the league. I think I saw that he's third in the league in pass blocking rate, and he's allowed only one sack. But the Texans have found ways to win without Laramie Tunsil. They're 2-1 without Laramie Tunsil against teams that had a combined record of 13-10. They actually beat two current playoff teams in Pittsburgh and Jacksonville without Tunsil. And they're 1-3 with him against teams with a combined record of 15-16. So does that mean they're better without Laramie Tunsil? No. But it does mean that they have found ways to win games without Laramie Tunsil. The Dameon Pierce thing is interesting. Dameon Pierce, I guess, is dealing with an ankle. A lot of people have wondered, myself included, what does this run game look like without Dameon Pierce? We've seen Devin Singletary get a larger chunk of the pie. I think a lot of people, including myself, would like to see Mike Boone get more carries. 1 carry last week and 1 carry the week before. 11 yards and 5 yards were what those carries went for. Had a big catch for 11. Could Mike Boone open things up? Does seem to be a pretty good receiving option out of the backfield, or at least have the potential to do that. So just something to keep an eye on. Laramie Tunsil, Dameon Pierce tomorrow. We should probably get a pretty good idea. Be looking at the practice report then, and we'll get a better idea. Friday is usually the end-all, be-all, and that's when guys are labeled as out. But Dameon Pierce not practicing, Laramie Tunsil not practicing either. Primetime asks, am I surprised that the Texans didn't make any trades at the deadline? Not really. Would I like to have seen them maybe at that price trade for Chase Young? Sure. The more guys on defense, the better for me. I think the defense is what's carried this team. We'll get into some numbers there for a sec. But as far as like offense, et cetera, no, I'm not shocked that they didn't do anything. Texans might have offensive issues. We'll hear from CJ Stroud in a sec, but let's look at some numbers first. And I appreciate everyone for coming through. It is the locker room, number one source for Texans daily digital content. The offensive ranks per game. The Texans are 11th in passing with 238.6 yards per game. Rushing, they're 23rd, which I'm actually surprised they're 23rd. That's actually kind of a pleasant surprise. I thought it would be worse than that. They're getting 91.9 yards per game. Now the yards per carry, they're near the bottom of the league in that. But the yards per game, I guess when you commit to it, you're probably not going to end up, too far down the bottom. Total offense, they're 17th at 330.4, and they're 20th in points at 21.1. Which is very mediocre, to say the very least. Now, is it a personnel thing? Is it a play calling thing? Is it a combination of everything? Is it kind of leveling out? That's something we're going to have to figure out. We'll hear from Bobby Slowick tomorrow. Meanwhile, defensively, though, they're 7th in the league in points per game. They're only allowing 18.3 points per game, which if you're like the Carolina game, if you allow 15 points in an NFL game, especially when the other team doesn't have what many would consider an elite defense, you got to win that game. I mean, there's no excuses for that. And they're 18th in yards per game at 335. But if you're allowing 18 points a game, you should have more wins than losses. The question is, though, what are the problems? Is it a personnel thing? Is it a coaching thing? Is it just kind of a leveling out thing? I think the answer to all of those is potentially yes. You don't have elite talent at wide receiver. You don't have elite talent at tight end. You don't have elite talent at running back. Your offensive linemen, it's been a shuffle, and the guys that are in there, they don't necessarily do what you say you want to do well. I do find it interesting. I was talking about this today. You know, we've spent a lot of time talking about fit, and does Dameon Pierce fit into this system? And, do these running backs fit into this system? All the while, when you talk about Laramie Tunsil, you hear many people say, oh, yeah, he's great at pass blocking. He's just not a very good run blocker, which, okay, everybody has their strengths and weaknesses as a player. But if you're in a system where I keep hearing that you need to run the ball, you need to be able to run the ball, you need to be able to run the ball, you need to be able to run the ball, shouldn't the highest paid left tackle be like an okay run blocker? I'm not saying he's not at times, but I'm just talking about the conversations that I have, whether it be with fans, whether it be with media types. Oh, yeah, he's just not a good run blocker. Okay, then who's not the fit in the scheme? Like, would you rather have an above average run blocker and a above average pass blocker than an elite pass blocker with mediocre run blocking skills? I don't know. I do just find it interesting that that's just kind of mentioned in passing, as if you're not getting paid like an elite player. That's just kind of interesting to me. Bobby Slowick, we'll hear from him tomorrow. I know that there's been stats laid out about, the Texans offense, and, they throw on early downs, or they run more than anyone on early downs and all that. My thing is this: how many games have you watched where you had a problem with Bobby Slowick's game plan? Because it's easy to watch the Carolina game and then look at a tendency and say, man, that sucks. They need to change that. And I'm not saying they don't need to make some changes, but if Bobby Slowick has been good for the majority of the season and we've seen all the injuries on the offensive line, does he really just need to change everything he's doing? Maybe he needs to have a little bit better feel, but are we going to take these numbers and try to make like an absolute just based on the Carolina game? Kind of seems a little dramatic to me. I personally think we need to see more Mike Boone and we need to see more Devin Singletary. And then Dameon Pierce needs to be like a closer, short yardage type of guy. I think we need to see that. I think we need to see more Tank Dell at receiver, less of that gadget crap. And CJ's got to make the throws when he has the opportunities. But I think that there's been a really, really good start from the offense based on the personnel and based on what we thought. And I think it's kind of evening out. I don't think the Texans have elite talent on offense. So we're kind of seeing it even out a little bit. DJ Bieniemy has talked about the third down shortcomings. We'll hear CJ Stroud talk about that in a second, but he has some stats. DJ Bieniemy of ESPN.com. From week 8, the Texans are 22nd on third downs at 36.1%, which, yeah, that's not great. But from week 4, Stroud threw for 415 yards and had a passer rating of 126, third best. with the third most attempts. He's also been talking a lot about tendencies and taking away the middle of the field, which was where CJ Stroud was comfortable at times. I don't know. I've seen DJ talking about that a lot. I haven't, and maybe I haven't been looking close enough. I haven't seen numbers or percentages that back up, they were throwing in the middle of the field this many times in the middle. Maybe it's out there. Maybe y'all can send it to me. It sounds logical. But I haven't seen like it charted where, CJ was throwing this percentage in the middle of the time and then kind of taking it away. So I haven't really seen that, but that is a theory. And I think in the big scheme of things, in the big picture of things, I do think that the adjustments naturally are going to have to be made because tendencies, I don't want to say they're known, but they're pretty well acknowledged at this point by opponents. And Todd Bowles is one of the best at finding those tendencies. He's also one of those guys that's going to blitz your ass off, which we'll hear CJ Stroud talk about. Let's hear from CJ Stroud, though. He met with the media. Texans coming off the loss to Carolina. CJ Stroud coming off probably the worst week of his young NFL career. Let's hear what the quarterback of your Houston Texans had to say here in the locker room the night before Week 9 begins.
So, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, they do a great job. I think Todd Bowles does a really good job of mixing it up. They run every coverage, really have every blitz scheme, have they do a lot of different things. So just they ought to be in our game and do what we do best and focus on what we got going on and try to handle what they do as best as we can. But he does a great job of getting his players in the right position to make plays and making those pivotal points in the game hard on quarterbacks and things like that. So got to meet him actually in the offseason. I know his son was thinking about going to Ohio State. Got to meet him there, and he's a real smart, good guy. So a lot of respect for what they do over there.
CJ,
he must be able to play if he's thinking about going to Ohio State.
One area where you improved the most?
That's a great question. I mean, honestly, there's so many things. I don't know if I can just boil it down to one. I mean, it's been a battle every week of just not only trying to get the footwork down and trying to get this offense better, like in tune with my mind, just trying to get it down packed to where I can just remember and go play fast. Honestly, I would just say just being more of a pro as a quarterback, just being smarter with the ball, smarter not taking hits, just getting down, getting the ball out, taking the completions. I would say that was probably the biggest step I've taken from college to OTAs to training camp to now, just being a better pro when it comes to just quarterback play and just trying to be veteran-minded of getting my guys in the right position to make plays and things like that. So.
Bobby Sloyd talked about last week how he felt like center was like the second most difficult position behind quarterback, but you also have to have a relationship with the center. What's probably the most difficult adjustment or the thing that y'all have to work on most to be on the same page? Like, what can you explain to us the difficulties of going from the new center on everything that you have to kind of get right?
Yeah, I mean, we start off with Scott, and Scott did a great job of being a veteran up there. He helped me out a lot with a lot of different things and gave me a lot of confidence. And then, sadly, he went down, and then Juice stepped up and did a great job too. Juice wasn't at first really a vocal guy, so I tried to help him with stuff like that, along with Shaq and Josh, and at the time, Ken. And then, sadly, he had went down against the Saints, and then J-Pat stepped in and has been doing amazing and was really good vocalizing the IDs and the type of blocks. And sadly, I feel bad for my guy, man, but praying for him like always. But it's unfortunate. It's a game of football, but I know it'll pay off in the long run. Just the stuff that he already started in his career, he'll pick that back up right when he gets back out there. But now then we have Mike, and I think he'll do a good job. I mean, he's really smart. blocks his tail is a really good high effort, like point A to point B type of guy, whistle to whistle. So I mean, me and him just have to get down our snaps, and we've been doing a good job of that. And that relationship is just it's how every play starts, which is half of what's most important in a football play. So with him just have to get the communication with the tackles, with the guards, communication with the IDs in the pass game and things like that. So I know he's played in this type of offense before he was even with the Texans. So I mean, I don't really see us having any issues. I think that he'll do a great job, and I'm excited to see him step in.
Yeah, didn't play an offensive snap last year.
Playing with swag, maintaining your confidence. How do you do that when things maybe aren't going exactly the way you want them to go? And then what have you learned, not just here, but in your college career, about how important that is to carry that confidence from game to game?
I don't really feel like, for me at least, I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. It has to go anywhere. I think I am who I am. It's just it's in me. It's not something that I wear. It's not something that I can buy. It's just kind of how God prepared me and God wired me as a man. So I don't really see it going anywhere anytime soon, God willing. So I think I'll just have that edge and that swag, or whatever you want to call it, kind of just how I am. And I'm not trying to sound like I'm just a cool guy or anything, but nah, that's just kind of just how God made me. So I mean, as this year goes on, I mean, I feel like it gets a little harder, but I mean, if it was easy, everybody would do it. And that's something I just keep reminding myself, man. Like the trials, the tribulations, the hard losses, the whatever you want to name it, it prepares you for things that come on in the long run. Like God doesn't just give you stuff right away. You have to be prepared, and you have to build those calluses, and that's something that I think this team we're getting. Of course, it's not lovely and you don't love it, but it's kind of like what you need. You get what you need, and I hope that we learn our lessons, because that's the only time you won't get what you need, if you don't learn your lesson from things like that. So I mean, my job is to keep the mojo on the team up, and I feel like I'm trying to do my best with that, and we're taking steps in that direction. So, I don't think it really would go anywhere.
CJ, this is a copycat league. This is a copycat league. This is I think, the fourth NFC South team that you're going to face. And so when Tampa Bay goes back and look at the tape, they're not only looking at, Atlanta, and not looking at, scouting Carolina, but also their next opponent. You're one of those quarterbacks who never unlearns and always makes sure that you make mental notes of what you've been through. How much do you expect to see of what Atlanta and Carolina did as far as defense is concerned this week with Tampa Bay?
Yeah.
Seeing what Atlanta and I need to go back. Let me check this real quick. Trying to figure that out. Hold up.
So, I don't think it really would go anywhere.
CJ, this is a copycat league. This is a copycat league. This is I think, the fourth NFC South team that you're going to face. And so when Tampa Bay goes back and look at the tape, they're not only looking at, Atlanta, and not looking at, scouting Carolina, but also their next opponent. You're one of those quarterbacks who never unlearns and always makes sure that you make mental notes of, what you've been through. How much do you expect to see of what Atlanta and Carolina did as far as defense is concerned this week with Tampa Bay?
They're all really different type of styles of defense. Atlanta and New Orleans have a similar type of style. That's like I'm forgetting the head coach of the Saints. Dennis Allen, excuse me. No disrespect to him. He's a great coordinator. I told you how I feel about him before, but that's like that tree. Atlanta's tree, Atlanta's DC came from Dennis Allen's tree, and then Carolina was Vic Fangio, and like the Dolphins type of defense. This defense is more like, Todd Bowles is kind of like the king of it and started it, but theirs is like the Jaguars. So do a lot of different stuff, like make it really confusing, make it like the coverage is like the safety can be like, it look like cover 0, then he'll run, they'll play cover 3, like there's like some tricky Tampa 2 looks, like as I'm learning in the league, like a lot of guys do a lot of different things. It's about like what you can really focus on, because if you try to focus on what they're doing, like as a defense, it's the NFL. Like you just gonna confuse yourself. So I try my best to have an idea what's going on and what they're trying to accomplish and know where I'm hot. Like you know what I'm saying, do different things like that. But they do a good job of knowing that too, and then countering something off of that. So and I know that the Jaguars DC came from Todd Bowles and his tree. I have a little bit of idea, but I don't want to wrap my hand around anything and then act like I have an idea, and then they go and do something totally different. So I'm just trying to play the game honest. But yeah, it's some of the things like you see defenses kind of match up together with different schemes on where they have been prior and things like that.
Yeah, I think that's like watching the tape and seeing what worked and stuff. I don't know what the division thing. I was confused by that.
When teams, you haven't been blitzed that much this year, so teams sometimes they'll try to pull people at the line and do some sim pressure looks. When teams are doing that, how difficult can it be to decipher through all that traffic, who's coming, who's not coming, but still get the ball to where it needs to go?
Yeah, you gotta just focus on what you got going on and like the plan if they do come. But you don't want to that's what defense, especially I feel like since me being a rookie, they want me to do is be up there focusing on the IDs and things like that. And there is a little bit of part to that, but you have to go and play football and play quarterback and try to depict the back end more than the front end, and half of that is just trusting with your own line and your center doing the right thing. So for me, I mean, I try not to focus on it too much, but have an idea of what's going on. So.
I think that's a good question by DJ. I think he's basically asking, you want to know where they're coming from. You want to know where they're blitzing from, but with all the disguises and stuff, you can probably drive yourself pretty nuts. Just thinking about that too much, and it can kind of throw you off your game. I think Stutes is about to ask about, and follow Cody Stutes if you want. If you don't subscribe to Cody Stutes, Houston football, you're really doing it wrong. It's the best thing on the beat right now. It's better than anything else that you will ever get. It's a good resource. He's there every day. He's putting in the work. Wrong wreck.
The batted passes at the line of scrimmage. Is there something that you guys can do schematically to avoid those popping up?
No, I mean it's football. Those guys, some guys know that the rushing isn't very great, and they just sit around and just jump around and play volleyball. So, and really, I mean, you can.
Damn.
For me, I mean, it's going to be hard for me to kind of see that because I'm looking down the field. So, our linemen and they know this. They're going to do a better job of just getting hands on guys and trying to get to them when because if you watch the film, they're literally retreating and running back. So, as O lineman, you don't want to be caught going downfield. It's like an easy area. But nah, that's football. It's gonna happen. So.
A couple more guys.
Hey, CJ, what are some of the challenges, if any, goes with trying to develop that chemistry and continuity with a new center? I know you mentioned Juice, Scott, and Jared earlier, but it seemed like you had more time to work with them in practice. Unlike with Michael coming in, it's like you only have a week and then boom, you got to take on the Bucks.
That's the NFL. I mean, that's what I'm paid to do. That's what I have to figure out. And I've done it in other areas in our O-line before. I mean, I didn't get a week to practice with a couple guys. But I mean, that's the beauty of the game, man. If it was easy, everybody would do it. So I'm not worried about it. I know Mike's a professional just like I am, and we'll figure it out.
Go ahead, Matt.
CJ, you were adamant after the game talking about, look, we need to push the ball.
This is the Matt Musel special, always asking them hard questions. CJ talking about taking more shots. Matt Musel asked him about that. Here's what CJ had to say. This was good stuff.
Push it, throw long passes. And talking to Nico and the guys were like, yeah, that's our guy, man. Yeah, we need to. But what would the coaching staff react to that? What did Bobby and D'Amico say? Were they happy that you were saying that, or how did they react to that?
They are right on board, and I think Bobby has done a great job of doing things like that. And half of that, we got to get our running game together. You can't do it without running the ball. So we got to be able to run the ball better. But at the same time, we're really special in a lot of areas too. And Bobby and D'Amico are the first people to stand up and say that. So, and I know that's the thing about this league, man. You can't let one game define who people think we are. Y'all might have an idea, but we're the players, man. You know what I'm saying? So they're the coaches. We're gonna figure out as the Texans. I don't really think like it was taken to heart from anybody, and they know how much I want this. Like, and as a team, they know how bad we want to be successful. I mean, this is a accountability-based business, and I think everybody is looking in the mirror like, how can we fix these issues and do things the right way? And we're excited to get that done. So D'Amico and Bobby have been really the forefront of that. And for me, I'm just I'm the coach on the field doing the same thing. So.
Last two questions.
And I really appreciate the fact that he said that, because I saw Deshaun Watson go up there and defend Bill O'Brien when Bill O'Brien didn't know what the hell he was doing. And he didn't do it maliciously. It was just more matter of factly. And I can respect that CJ Stroud did that, because I think it is in their best interest. I don't think he was calling Bobby Slowick out at all. I do appreciate Matt for asking the question too.
It was really good to step away from just.
So you can still be effective on third downs.
I mean, honestly, I don't.
This is DJ asking about the third down tendencies that we spoke on earlier today.
Really see. I don't think people have been just taking it away. I think a lot of teams, like, of course, they watch them, they're aware of what's going on, but it's up to us to, even when that happens, like, have to just be good in our second, third, fourth progressions, and that's somewhere I can grow and be better at, and as an offense we can take the next step. But I feel like every defense is out there trying to stop everything. So I don't just focus on in-breakers, out-breakers, deep balls, short passes. You have to be great in everything and every progression. You have to be elite. So that's just where we have to take the next step, is just getting better at going through reads for myself, getting to the third, fourth progression, and being better at that. So, it's just the next step we have to take.
Thanks, CJ.
Thanks, y'all.
All right, there we go. Okay, Stroud. There goes the man. The offense. We need the offense to be better. Tomorrow's a big one. You got Tennessee, Will Levis getting the primetime game. CJ Stroud not going to get one this year. Crazy way, if the Titans win, then Pittsburgh goes to 4-4 with the Texans with an opportunity to go to 4-4. So you would tie them in the playoff standings. Also, Cleveland, they're a heavy favorite against Arizona. Not really looking at them, but you look at Cincinnati, who's the next opponent. They're hosting Buffalo. If Buffalo can beat Cincinnati, Cincinnati falls to 4-4. And then if the Chargers can beat the Jets, the Chargers go to 4-4. The Jets fall to 4-4. I know that's a lot of 4-4 action. Let me just reset it. Steelers, Bengals, and Jets, all with realistic chances to fall to 4-4, with you a chance to go up to 4-4. So next week, as much as this previous week sucked, we could be talking about the Texans right there, very much in the playoff mix. This is a big ass week, and I don't think you can minimize it. Look, I know Cincinnati's look vulnerable. I don't look at Cincinnati going to Cincinnati, especially with Burrow getting the bye week, and especially with them playing better, and saying I expect the Texans to win that. But if you can win this game, you can get to 4-4. You can get some help where other teams fall down. Then you got Arizona. That is a game you should probably expect to win. You're 5-5 through 10. That's what you need, but it all starts this week against Tampa Bay. Special guest tomorrow, straight off the practice field. Be tuning in to In the Loop on Sports Radio 610. We got that for you. Also going to get some more content throughout the week for you as well. Hopefully, we're not talking about a loss next week. We went through the highlights. Always sucks after a loss. But I appreciate everyone for coming through. Got to get those baby steps. Got to beat Tampa Bay. It's a big week, and no matter what happens, we are all in this together. Get to some of the comments tomorrow. We'll do a little Q&A at night. In the meantime, though, going to get ready for the show. Going to get ready for the week. Week 9 starts tomorrow. It's a big one. Big one. Dilemma. Screw the Steelers. Screw the Titans. Might be in the best interest, though, for Will Levis to throw 5 interceptions and the Titans to win. Let's go.
You don't need to try your luck. Locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room.